Hello friends, in today's lecture we are discussing about the concept, meaning and basic principles of human rights. Now to start with the meaning of human rights है क्या सबसे पहले तो human rights they are as a general definition of human rights it means those rights which are available to the human beings for the reason that one is born as a human being. सीधा सा एक बहुत ही सिंपल डेफिनेशन इसका ये है कि एक ह्यूमन बीइंग को कुछ एक ऐसे बेसिक राइट्स जो उसको इसीलिए ग्रांट किए जाते हैं कि वो उसका जो बर्थ है वो एज अ ह्यूमन बीइंग हुआ है. And this is a very important aspect of human rights that the human rights they are made available to the human beings without any discrimination or any kind of discrimination, whether that is based on religion, race, caste, sex, place of birth, country of origin, country of residence, place of residence, whatever it is. किसी भी तरह का डिस्क्रिमिनेशन नहीं होता है when we talk about the availability of human rights to the human beings. And further, the human rights they are interrelated, interdependent and indivisible. इंटररिलेटेड इसीलिए क्योंकि हर एक ह्यूमन राइट्स एक तरह का ह्यूमन राइट्स दैट इज कनेक्टेड विद द अदर काइंड ऑफ ह्यूमन राइट एंड इंटरडिपेंडेंट देयर इज अ इंटरडिपेंडेंसी ऑफ राइट्स ऑन one another. Indivisible, it means that these human rights they cannot be divided, they cannot be separated from the human being itself. वो human being के साथ interrelated है, उनको human being के साथ separate नहीं किया जा सकता है. Now there is a wide variety of human rights. Now to the categorization of human rights we can also say, and this is we can categorize these into civil rights like the right to life is there, right to liberty, security is there, political rights are there, then the rights to protection of law, equal protection of law, then economic rights are there, right to work is there, right to payment is there, equal remuneration for equal kind of work is there, then economic social rights are there, right to education is there, right to family is there, right to marriage is there, cultural rights there comes, right to freely participate in the cultural community, to propagate one's culture, then collective rights are there, right of self determination हम जिनको कहते हैं. So these are the variety of rights which is categorized, the human rights they are categorized in this category. Then the concept of human rights. Now the concept of human rights that is a thing which cannot be said to be a constant character. एक ही तरह का कैरेक्टर ह्यूमन राइट्स का या एक कांस्टेंट अगर हम बोलें कि ह्यूमन राइट्स इट इज़ अ कांस्टेंट ब्रांच ऑफ राइट्स, दैट इज़ नॉट ट्रू. ह्यूमन राइट्स एक ऐसी चीज़ है, एक ऐसे तरह का राइट्स हैं विच इज़ एन एवर ग्रोइंग ब्रांच ऑफ राइट्स. इफ़ यू टॉक अबाउट, अगर हम इसका सीधा सा एग्जांपल लें कि ह्यूमन बीइंग जब व्हेन द ह्यूमन बीइंग they were living in the state of isolation, and then the human beings started to live in the society, and then a society was formulated, then the the collective rights of the people they were recognized. We cannot compare that situation where the human being they lives in the state of isolation and in the modern time when in a civilized society human beings they are living and their rights are concerned. तो दोनों तरह का जो rights हैं they cannot be said to be the same. So that is why it is said that it is an ever growing branch of rights. हाँ, ये समय के साथ और सोसाइटी के साथ with the need of the society, with the need of the people, with the need of the human being, this branch of rights that also develops constantly. As Kant had said that the human being they have an intrinsic value which is absent in the inanimated objects. ह्यूमन बीइंग में एक ऐसा इंस्ट्रिंसिक वैल्यू होती है, इनसेपरेबल वैल्यू होती है जो कि इनएनिमेटेड ऑब्जेक्ट्स में नहीं होती है. ही फर्दर सेड दैट टू वायलेट द ह्यूमन राइट्स वुड देयरफॉर be a failure to recognize the worth of the life of the human rights. And the human another definition of human rights, that may be that the human right is those basic standards without which the people cannot live with dignity. एक ऐसे इस तरह के राइट्स जिनके बिना की एक डिग्निफाइड लाइफ जो है वो ह्यूमन बीइंग की नहीं हो सकती, इस तरह के राइट्स को हम ह्यूमन राइट्स कहते हैं. एंड देन कम्स द बेसिक प्रिंसिपल्स ऑफ ह्यूमन राइट्स. सो ह्यूमन राइट्स चाहे वो किसी भी तरह के हों, जैसा मैंने अभी बताया आपको, देर इज़ अ वैरायटी ऑफ ह्यूमन राइट्स, चाहे वो सिविल राइट्स हों, इकोनॉमिक राइट्स हों, सोशल राइट्स हों, कल्चरल राइट्स हों, या किसी और तरह के राइट्स हों. All these sorts of rights, they are having certain basic principles. वो सभी के लिए सेम होंगे. ये प्रिंसिपल सभी राइट्स के ऊपर अप्लाई करते हैं और ये सभी राइट्स के लिए सेम होंगे. नाउ व्हाट आर दीज बेसिक प्रिंसिपल्स? एंड द फर्स्ट बेसिक प्रिंसिपल इज द प्रिंसिपल ऑफ यूनिवर्सैलिटी. Universality, it means that the human rights, they are having a universal character. उनका जो एप्लीकेशन है वो यूनिवर्सल होता है. नो, ए सिंपल एग्जांपल ऑफ दिस वुड बी द राइट टू लाइफ. से नाउ अ ह्यूमन बीइंग is having a right to life, and that is one of the considered to be one of the important human rights, right to life. तो राइट टू लाइफ जो होगा वो कहीं पे किसी प्लेस से एक प्लेस से दूसरे प्लेस में या एक कंट्री से दूसरी कंट्री में वेरी नहीं कर सकता है. ऐसा नहीं हो सकता है कि आप एक कम्युनिटी को या एक रिलीजन को राइट टू लाइफ दें और दूसरे रिलीजन से राइट टू लाइफ को आप छीन लें. So that is why we say that the human rights, they are having this character of universality in itself. So जहाँ तक बात है ह्यूमन राइट्स को ग्रांट करने की ह्यूमन बींग्स को, सो दे आर ग्रांटेड ऑन ए यूनिवर्सल एस्पेक्ट टू ऑल द ह्यूमन बींग्स विदाउट any kind of discrimination. Other feature of human rights is indivisibility. Now that means that the human rights, that they cannot be divided, they cannot be separated from the one right cannot be separated with the other kind of human rights. Meaning thereby, for example, now as I have told you, there are a variety of rights. Economic rights are there, cultural rights are there, cultural rights और देयर सिविल राइट्स आर देयर. अब सिविल राइट्स में राइट टू लाइफ आपका आता है, वैसे ही इकोनॉमिक राइट्स में राइट टू वर्क है. तो ये दोनों तरह के जो राइट्स हैं, सिविल राइट एंड इकोनॉमिक राइट्स, दे आर इंटर रिलेटेड विद ईच अदर, दे आर इंडिविजिबल. एक राइट को दूसरे से सेपरेट करेंगे, देयर विल बी अ फेलियर ऑफ द ह्यूमन राइट्स इन टोटलिटी. जैसे राइट टू हेल्थ है, ये भी एक ह्यूमन राइट्स है. तो अगर आप राइट टू हेल्थ को अगर कहीं पे वायलेट करते हैं, that means you are not giving the proper care and attention to the life of a person, to the health of a person, then that means you are violating the right of life as well. तो एक राइट दूसरे राइट के साथ कनेक्टेड है. सो दैट इज़ वाई वी से दैट द ह्यूमन राइट्स, दे आर इंडिविजिबल. उनको एक से दूसरे राइट के अलग नहीं किया जा सकता है. देन कम्स थर्ड feature, that is the participation. Now the people have a right to participate in how decisions are made regarding the protection of their human rights. अब किस तरह से लोगों के जो ह्यूमन राइट्स हैं उनको प्रोटेक्ट करने के लिए पॉलिसीज़ जो है वो बनाई जाती हैं और वो डिसीजन जो है वो लिए जाते हैं, एंड हाउ दे आर गोइंग टू मेक द इम्पैक्ट on the lives, on the rights of the human being. There needs to be a participation of the individuals or the human beings. अब ये कैसे होता है? इन टेक फॉर एग्जांपल इन द मॉडर्न टाइम अगर हम बात करें तो लोग जो हैं डेमोक्रेटिक सेटअप अगर है किसी कंट्री में, तो लोग अपने एमपीज़ हैं, एमएलएज़ हैं, उनको चुन करके असेंबलीज़ में भेजते हैं. एंड दीज पीपल, they makes the law regarding the human rights or other kinds of rights as well. So there needs to be a participation of the people itself. So the voice of the people, that is reflected in the decision which is made by the government or the the people which are nominated by the individuals or by the human beings. तो ये आपका पार्टिसिपेशन है. दैट दिस इज़ वन ऑफ द कैरेक्टर ऑफ द ह्यूमन राइट्स कि पार्टिसिपेशन human beings का, individuals का, with respect to the law or the rules which are made and which makes impact on the life of the individuals, उसके ऊपर होना चाहिए. Then comes the other feature of the human rights, that is accountability. Now सबसे main aspect जो human rights का है, that is accountability. And the government, they needs to be set accountable, or the government agencies needs to be accountable for the realization of the human rights. Now, granting the rights to the individuals, that is one thing. And even more important thing is that it is not important to give the rights, rather it is very much important, more important in fact, that these rights, if they are violated, there needs to be the enforcement mechanism for that. And that is what the accountability means, whether that is the judiciary, that is the executive, or that is any other organ of the government which is set up by the government for the protection of these rights. But there needs to be certain accountability on the side of the government for the realization of the human rights. That is what it means. Then come transparency. Now, in the decision making regarding the human rights, which affects the human rights, there needs to be a transparency. The people, the human being, they needs to have that kind of mechanism. There needs to be an open information regarding the decision making which affects the human rights of the people. For example, we in India, we have the right to information. So if any kind of decision is taken by the government regarding any policy, now that can be the information of that decision which is taken by the agencies or by the government, that can be taken by the individual as well. So that is known as the transparency. So this is what it also means in relation to the human rights, कि अगर human rights के related भी अगर कोई government जो है वो कोई decision अगर लेती है तो उसका impact human rights के ऊपर होता है, तो human beings they needs to have transparency in that. They must be allowed to have that information which affects their rights. Then comes non-discrimination, principle of non-discrimination, and that means simply that these rights, the human rights, they are those rights which are made available to all the people, human beings, विदाउट डिस्क्रिमिनेशन. जहाँ तक उनके लोगों को ये राइट्स ग्रांट करने की बात है, किसी तरह का डिस्क्रिमिनेशन नहीं हो सकता है ऑन एनी ग्राउंड व्हाटसोएवर. दिस डिस्क्रिमिनेशन कैन नॉट बी देयर. So these are the features, salient features of the human rights, the meaning, concept, and the features of human rights. Thank you.